Have you ever faced the daunting question, what if I couldn't take care of myself as I age? Would you settle for the traditional nursing home, or would you dare to explore a different path? Aging is a natural part of life, but how we navigate it doesn't have to be one size fits all. Imagine maintaining your independence, purpose, and joy well into your golden years through creative and inspiring choices. In today's video, we dive into 6 incredible stories of older individuals who chose to live life on their terms. From adventurous retirees traveling the world to tech-savvy grandmas staying connected with loved ones, these stories will not only inspire you but also provide practical ideas to enhance your own life or the lives of those you care about. Why watch until the end? You'll discover alternative ways to embrace aging that you might never have considered, learn valuable life lessons about independence and resilience, and find motivation to create a fulfilling and joyful future regardless of your age. Don't miss out on these heartwarming and empowering journeys that prove it's never too late to redefine what aging means to you. Stay with us and uncover the secrets to living your best life, no matter where you are on your journey. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Story 1. The Independent Grandpa. Grandpa Joe, a lively 85-year-old with a spark in his eye and a lifetime of stories etched in his smile, is the very embodiment of resilience and independence. For as long as his family can recall, Joe has been a man of routine and purpose. His days began at dawn, the first rays of sunlight accompanying him on his cherished morning walks through a neighborhood he called home for decades. He'd greet the early risers with a warm wave, exchange pleasantries at the corner coffee shop, and tend lovingly to his garden, a haven of blooming roses and steadfast oaks that seemed to mirror his unwavering spirit. His afternoons were reserved for the quiet joy of books, each page a companion in his solitude. But as the years passed, his family grew increasingly concerned. Joe's once robust health began to show signs of wear. The thought of him navigating life alone made their hearts ache with worry. They gently urged him to consider moving into a nursing home, a place where he would have constant care and company. Yet, Joe's response was resolute, and it came from a place of deep conviction. "This is my life," he said with a voice both firm and tender, "and I'm not ready to give it up." Joe's love for his routine was more than habit. It was his lifeline, his anchor. The worn paths of his neighborhood held the echoes of years gone by. The faces at the coffee shop weren't just acquaintances. They were his community. His home, filled with memories and familiar comforts, was more than bricks and mortar. It was a sanctuary. He wasn't in denial of his aging body. He understood his limitations. But he also knew that his spirit thrived in the life he had built, not in the sterile walls of a nursing home. Joe's family, though worried, came to admire his determination. Together, they found a middle ground. With a bit of creativity and teamwork, they arranged for a home care worker to check in regularly and made it a point to visit often. Joe proved that independence doesn't mean isolation. It's about living on your terms, even when you need a little help along the way. Joe's story is more than just an account of an elderly man resisting change. It's a powerful reminder of the human desire for autonomy and dignity. Aging, with all its trials, doesn't have to strip you of your identity or your freedom. It's a poignant lesson for all of us, young and old alike. Our homes, our routines, and the communities we cherish are integral to our sense of self. In Joe's quiet courage, there's a message for anyone facing the inevitable changes of growing older. It's about finding ways to hold on to what truly matters, whether it's the joy of a morning stroll, the solace of familiar surroundings, or the pride of still calling the shots in your own life. Independence, as Joe shows us, isn't just a physical state. It's a state of mind, one worth fighting for. To anyone considering their options as they age, let Joe's story be a beacon of hope. Yes, it takes planning, adaptability, and the willingness to ask for help. But with the right support and a steadfast heart, it's possible to continue living a life that feels authentically yours. Grandpa Joe, with his twinkling eyes and resolute spirit, proves that independence isn't about defiance. It's about staying true to yourself, no matter what the years bring. Story 2. The surprising move of a retired teacher. Let me share with you the inspiring journey of Mrs. Hargrove, a retired teacher in her 70s who spent decades nurturing young minds with passion and dedication. When the time came for her to retire, she faced a choice that many of us will one day confront: how to spend the later years of her life. Unlike her peers who quietly settled into nursing homes or stayed in the comfort of their long-familiar surroundings, Mrs. Hargrove decided to embrace a daring new chapter. She chose to move to a small, lively community designed for retirees, a place that promised opportunities for growth, connection, and joy, though it was nothing like the life she had known before. Her decision wasn't met with instant approval. Her family worried, questioning why she would leave her familiar neighborhood, her lifelong friends, and the house filled with memories. To them, her move seemed risky, even unnecessary. But Mrs. Hargrove trusted her heart and her longing for something more, a deeper sense of purpose, a community where she could truly belong. As she unpacked her belongings and stepped into this new world, she wasn't entirely sure what awaited her. There were moments of doubt, fleeting thoughts of whether she had made the right choice. But oh, how life can surprise us when we step beyond our fears. Within just a few months, Mrs. Hargrove's new life blossomed in ways she never could have imagined. She found herself surrounded by like-minded individuals, and people who shared her love for learning, creativity, and community. What truly ignited her spirit, though, was rediscovering her love for teaching, not in a classroom, but through knitting. It was a passion she had long put aside during her busy years as an educator, but now, in this new setting, it became her way of giving back. She began leading knitting classes for fellow residents, sharing not only techniques but also laughter, stories, and a renewed sense of belonging. Through these classes, she created something beautiful, a tapestry of connections woven with care and companionship. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. What makes Mrs. Hargrove's story so powerful is the way it reminds us that life doesn't have to dwindle with age. Too often, we let fear or comfort hold us back from pursuing change, but Mrs. Hargrove's bravery shows us the magic that can unfold when we say yes to the unknown. Her story speaks to a truth that many of us hesitate to embrace. The later years of life can be a time of thriving, not just surviving. They can be filled with new adventures, friendships, and even a rekindled sense of purpose. As I reflect on her journey, I can't help but feel moved by the courage it took for her to make such a significant change. It's easy to let familiarity wrap around us like a warm blanket, but Mrs. Hargrove pulled it off and stepped into the brisk, invigorating air of possibility. Her life is a testament to the idea that it's never too late to grow, take risks, and find a place where you truly belong. For those of us wondering what the future holds, let Mrs. Hargrove be a guide. When faced with the question of how to spend your golden years, consider seeking out a community that uplifts you, inspires you, and allows you to contribute in meaningful ways. Don't let fear keep you rooted in place when there's a whole world of possibilities waiting to be discovered. Mrs. Hargrove's story is living proof that the best years of your life might still be ahead, just waiting for you to take that first brave step toward them. Story 3. The Adventurer in his 90s. Let me share the extraordinary journey of Mr. Thompson, a man who embodies the very essence of what it means to live fully, regardless of age. At 92 years old, when most people his age might settle into the predictable rhythm of quiet days at home, Mr. Thompson defied all expectations. For him, life wasn't something to be endured, it was an adventure waiting to be embraced. His story is a powerful reminder that age is merely a number, a detail that pales in comparison to the boundless spirit within. While his peers often reminisced about the good old days, Mr. Thompson was busy creating new ones. He made the courageous decision to spend his golden years exploring the world, joined by his equally adventurous daughter. Together, they embarked on a series of journeys that many half his age would hesitate to take. But these weren't your typical, carefully curated vacations. No, Mr. Thompson wasn't interested in luxurious cruises with cocktail hours or structured tours with tidy itineraries. For him, the true essence of travel lay in its unpredictability and authenticity. Imagine him standing beneath the Eiffel Tower, the Parisian breeze carrying the melodies of street performers and the scent of fresh-baked croissants. Picture him wandering through the labyrinthine streets of Rome, pausing to admire the grandeur of the Colosseum as his mind traced the echoes of history. Visualize him in Greece, climbing uneven stone steps to ancient ruins, his weathered hands brushing against pillars that have stood for millennia. These moments weren't just photographs in a scrapbook. They were experiences that enriched his soul and ignited his sense of wonder. What set Mr. Thompson apart wasn't just his choice to travel, but how he chose to do it. Unlike those who might opt for five-star resorts and guided excursions, he sought out the raw, unpolished beauty of each place. He stayed in small apartments tucked away in local neighborhoods, where the hum of daily life became the backdrop to his adventures. He dined in family-owned cafes, where the flavors told stories of heritage and tradition. He conversed with locals, absorbing their perspectives and immersing himself in their cultures. These weren't mere trips. They were a way of life, a means of connecting deeply with the world around him. Even more inspiring was his reason for embarking on this path. As a younger man, life's responsibilities, work, family, and the demands of everyday existence left little room for the dreams that tugged at his heart. But now, with time as his ally, he saw no reason to wait. He wasn't chasing a bucket list or ticking off destinations to boast about later. He was fulfilling a promise to himself to live without regret, to seize the opportunities he once set aside. Mr. Thompson's journey is not just a travelogue, it's a lesson in living. It reminds us that life doesn't end at retirement. It begins anew, with the freedom to prioritize what truly matters. His story challenges the societal narrative that aging is a time of decline. Instead, he proves that it's a time of rediscovery, a chance to embrace passions and pursuits with an energy that comes not from youth but from wisdom and gratitude. I find myself deeply moved by his example. It's easy to let fear or practicality hold us back, to tell ourselves that it's too late or too difficult to chase our dreams. But Mr. Thompson's life is a testament to the opposite, that courage and a willingness to step into the unknown are what make life worth living. His story stirs a longing in me to approach my days with the same boldness and open heart, to view each experience as an opportunity to grow and connect. For those of us who feel the pull of adventure but hesitate, let Mr. Thompson's journey be your guide. Whether you're 92, 62, or 32, there's a vast, beautiful world out there, brimming with possibilities. It's not about having the perfect plan or waiting for the right time. It's about saying yes to life, to new experiences, and to the memories that will warm your heart for years to come. So, why not follow in his footsteps? Pack that bag, book that ticket, and let the world surprise you. After all, if Mr. Thompson can climb the steps of ancient ruins, walk the streets of foreign cities, and embrace the unknown at 92, what's stopping the rest of us? His story isn't just an inspiration, it's a call to action, a reminder that it's never too late to start living the life you've always dreamed of. Let's honor his legacy by daring to live as fully and authentically as he did. Story 4. The Tech-Savvy Grandma. Allow me to introduce you to Grandma Ruth, a remarkable woman in her 80s whose life serves as a powerful reminder that age is never a barrier to growth, independence, or courage. Ruth's story is not just about her life as an elderly woman. It's about a fearless refusal to be confined by limitations, even as time brought inevitable changes to her health and capabilities. Ruth lived in a cozy home that had been her sanctuary for decades. Its walls had seen laughter, love, and memories stretching back to when she and her late husband first moved in. It was here she raised her children, celebrated birthdays, and spent quiet evenings knitting by the fire. The thought of leaving this place for a nursing home broke her heart, not just because it meant leaving her home, but because it felt like leaving a part of herself behind. But as Ruth aged, life began to shift. Simple tasks she once performed with ease, turning off the lights at night, locking the doors, or adjusting the thermostat, became more challenging. Her family worried about her safety, suggesting she consider assisted living, but Ruth had other plans. She decided that if she was going to stay in her home, she would need to adapt to the changing times. And that's when her incredible journey began. Her grandchildren were her first mentors. With the patience only a loving family could offer, they introduced her to the basics of technology. They showed her how to use a smartphone, how to navigate apps, and how to use voice commands on a smart speaker. At first, Ruth felt completely out of her depth. "I can't even figure out how to answer this thing, let alone talk to it," she'd say, her frustration mixed with laughter. But beneath her humorous remarks lay a fierce determination. Over time, Ruth began to get the hang of it. Her once tentative fingers grew confident, and her curiosity about what technology could do only deepened. She installed a voice-controlled home system that allowed her to control lights, lock doors, and adjust her thermostat, all with simple spoken commands. For the first time in years, she felt empowered in her home, no longer struggling with the small but frustrating tasks that used to sap her energy. But Ruth didn't stop there. She realized that technology wasn't just about convenience. It was a bridge to the people she loved. With video calls, she could see her great-grandchildren's smiling faces, even if they were miles away. Every call was like a window into their lives, allowing her to watch them grow, celebrate their milestones, and even join in on family game nights. There were moments when tears would fill her eyes, knowing she wasn't missing out on these precious memories. One particularly touching moment came on her 85th birthday. Unable to travel due to health concerns, Ruth was surprised when her family arranged a virtual party for her. The screen filled with the faces of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, each holding a slice of cake to celebrate with her. As they sang "Happy Birthday," Ruth laughed and cried, overwhelmed by the love and connection she felt through the screen. Beyond her family, technology opened up new worlds for Ruth. She discovered online communities of people her age, sharing advice, stories, and even recipes. She joined virtual book clubs, attended online fitness classes tailored for seniors, and explored hobbies she hadn't touched in years. Suddenly, her days were filled with activity and connection, proving that life could still be rich and fulfilling, even from the comfort of her living room. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment below to let me know that you are still here with me. Ruth's story is a testament to the boundless potential of the human spirit. She taught us that aging is not about retreating from the world but finding new ways to stay engaged with it. Her willingness to embrace technology, even when it felt foreign and intimidating, serves as an inspiring lesson for all of us. For those who fear change, Ruth's journey is a call to action. Yes, learning something new can be daunting, especially in later years. But Ruth showed us that the rewards, maintaining independence, deepening relationships, and staying connected to life, are worth every moment of effort. When I think of Grandma Ruth, I don't just see an elderly woman navigating a tablet or instructing her smart speaker to turn on the lights. I see a woman who refused to let circumstances dictate her happiness, and who met the challenges of aging with grace and grit. She redefined what it means to grow old, proving that independence is not just a physical state but a mindset. So the next time you're faced with something that seems too complicated or overwhelming, think of Ruth. Picture her joy as she joined her family on a video call, her pride in mastering a new skill, and her unwavering belief that the future belongs to anyone willing to reach for it. Ruth didn't just embrace technology. She embraced life, in all its complexity and beauty, reminding us that it's never too late to learn, adapt, and thrive. Story 5. The Gardener Who Never Stopped Growing. Let me tell you about Mr. Clark, a man whose story is a testament to resilience, creativity, and the unyielding love for the things that make life worth living. At 79 years old, Mr. Clark found himself facing a reality that many of us dread but will inevitably encounter. His body was no longer able to keep pace with the physical demands of his greatest passion, his garden. For decades, his garden was more than just a collection of plants. It was a living, breathing canvas of beauty and purpose, a place where he poured his heart and soul. Every flower he planted, every vegetable he harvested, every tree he nurtured was an extension of his care, his pride, and his unspoken dialogue with nature. The garden had been his sanctuary, a place where he found solace in the rhythmic dance of planting and pruning, watering and weeding. It wasn't just a pastime, it was his identity, his connection to the earth, and a reminder of life's cycles. But as time went on, the tasks he had once done with ease began to take a toll. Bending over to pull weeds left him aching for days, lifting heavy watering cans strained his shoulders, and the summer heat he had always embraced now left him feeling drained and vulnerable. The sprawling plot of land he had cultivated with love began to feel overwhelming, and he started to wonder if he could continue tending to it. His family noticed the changes too. They saw how he moved more slowly, how his hands trembled after hours in the sun. Out of concern for his health, they began to suggest, gently at first, that maybe it was time to step away from the garden. "It's too much for you, Dad," they would say. "Why don't you let it go? You've done so much already." They thought they were helping him by encouraging him to rest and to stop pushing himself. But what they didn't fully understand was that the garden wasn't just a place, it was part of his spirit, a lifeline that gave him purpose each day. To let it go felt unthinkable. Yet, Mr. Clark was not the kind of man to ignore reality. He knew his body was changing, and he knew that continuing as he always had wasn't sustainable. But giving up wasn't an option either. So, he began to think creatively. One evening, as he sat on his porch watching the sunset bathe his garden in golden light, an idea came to him. What if he didn't have to let it go entirely? What if, instead of surrendering, he found a way to adapt? The next morning, he got to work. He began by walking through his garden, assessing every corner, every plant, and every tree with a critical eye. He asked himself which parts of the garden truly brought him joy and which had become burdensome. Slowly, he started to make changes. He reduced the size of his vegetable patch, keeping only his favorites, tomatoes, lettuce, and a few herbs he loved to use in his cooking. He let go of the towering rows of corn and pumpkins that demanded more care than he could manage. The flower beds, once sprawling and intricate, were simplified into smaller, raised plots that were easier to reach. He added a bench under the shade of an old oak tree, creating a space where he could sit and enjoy his work without overexerting himself. It wasn't easy. There were moments of sadness as he said goodbye to parts of his garden that had been with him for years. But there was also a quiet pride in what he was building, a new version of his beloved space that honored his current abilities. The smaller garden was no less beautiful. In fact, its simplicity made every flower, every leaf, and every patch of soil feel even more intentional. He found joy in focusing on the details he had often overlooked in the past. The velvety texture of a rose petal, the subtle hum of bees pollinating his lavender, the way the sunlight danced on the dew-covered grass in the early morning. His family was astonished by the transformation. They had feared that downsizing would leave him feeling defeated, but instead, it rejuvenated him. They saw him light up as he talked about his plans for the new layout, as he proudly showed them the first tomatoes of the season, and as he sat on his bench with a smile that spoke of quiet contentment. "I didn't lose my garden," he told them one day. "I just learned how to grow with it." Mr. Clark's story is a profound reminder that aging doesn't have to mean giving up the things we love. It's about finding new ways to embrace them, to adapt and evolve alongside the changes in our lives. His journey teaches us that simplicity can be just as fulfilling as grandeur, that sometimes less truly is more. It takes courage to let go of what no longer serves us and wisdom to recognize that adapting is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to our ability to persevere. I can't help but admire Mr. Clark's determination and ingenuity. His story reminds me that life, like a garden, is full of seasons. Each one is different, bringing its challenges and beauty. And just as he found a way to keep growing, even when the world seemed to tell him otherwise, we too can find ways to nurture our passions and stay connected to the things that make us feel alive. His garden may have changed, but his spirit never stopped blooming. In his journey, there is a lesson for all of us. No matter our age or limitations, we can always find a way to keep growing. Story 6. The Family Legacy. Let me share the heartfelt and inspiring story of Mildred, an 84-year-old woman who made a decision that many might view as unconventional, even defiant. At a time in her life when most people expect to downsize, simplify, or relinquish control, Mildred chose to hold on to the place that had been the cornerstone of her existence for over 50 years, her home. But this wasn't just any house, it was her sanctuary, her treasure chest of memories, and the heart of her family's legacy. This house had seen it all. It had been the backdrop to the laughter of her children as they grew, the venue for family celebrations filled with joy, and the quiet refuge where she and her late husband had weathered life's storms together. Every room was alive with echoes of the past. The kitchen, with its faded countertops, had been her stage for countless meals shared with loved ones. The living room bore witness to endless conversations, from bedtime stories to serious family discussions. Even the creaky stairs seemed to hum the songs of a life well lived. When Mildred's children gently suggested it might be time to move into a nursing home, their intentions were pure. They only wanted what they believed was best for her. They spoke of safety, companionship, and convenience, emphasizing how she would no longer have to manage the burdens of maintaining a large home. But Mildred's heart ached at the thought of leaving. To her, this house wasn't just a shelter. It was a sacred space that held her history. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Her decision wasn't made lightly. She considered the challenges of staying, the physical effort it took to climb the stairs, the yard work she could no longer manage, and the occasional loneliness of living alone. But despite these hurdles, she knew in her soul that leaving her home would mean leaving behind a piece of herself. She couldn't imagine waking up without the sunlight pouring through her bedroom window, the same one she had looked out of every morning for decades. The thought of walking away from the garden she had lovingly nurtured, where her children had once played, and where her husband's favorite roses still bloomed, was unbearable. Rather than give up on her dream of staying, Mildred decided to create her solution. She reached out to her family, asking for their help. Her daughter agreed to visit weekly, bringing groceries and sharing tea in the afternoons. Her grandchildren started dropping by after school, filling the house with laughter and youthful energy that reminded Mildred of her children at their age. Her neighbors, too, played a part, checking in, helping with small repairs, and keeping her connected to the community. This network of love and care became Mildred's lifeline. It allowed her to stay where she felt most alive and connected, without sacrificing her safety or well-being. It wasn't just about practical support. It was about preserving the rich emotional tapestry of her life. Every visit, every shared moment in that house, reinforced the bonds of her family and the legacy she had worked so hard to build. Mildred's home became more than just a place to live. It was a living, breathing testament to resilience, love, and family. The walls carried the laughter of birthday parties and holiday feasts, the quiet hum of sewing projects, and even the tearful goodbyes of loved ones. Her garden, though no longer as neatly tended as in her younger days, stood as a testament to her nurturing spirit. Each flower bloomed as a reminder of her ability to care, to grow, and to create beauty in the world. For Mildred, staying in her home was not merely a practical choice. It was an act of defiance against the notion that aging means letting go of everything that matters. It was a declaration of independence, a statement that her life and her choices were still hers to make. It was also a gift to her family, showing them the value of holding on to the things that ground us, even when the world suggests it's time to move on. Mildred's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of place in our lives. A house can be so much more than a structure. It can be a repository of memories, a source of comfort, and a cornerstone of identity. While nursing homes and assisted living facilities have their place, they can never replicate the feeling of waking up in the bed where you've slept for decades or walking through the rooms where your life has unfolded. In her decision to stay, Mildred teaches us a valuable lesson: that aging doesn't have to mean surrendering the places and things that define us. Instead, it can be a time to cherish what we've built, to lean on our loved ones, and to preserve the legacies that matter most. Her choice was not without its difficulties, but it was guided by love, determination, and an unshakable sense of what made her truly happy. As we reflect on Mildred's journey, we're reminded that the right place for us in our later years isn't always somewhere new. Sometimes, it's the place that has been our home all along, the place that has cradled our joys and sorrows, witnessed our growth, and given us a sense of belonging. Mildred's home was her heart, and by staying, she honored both. Her story is a testament to the power of memory, love, and the deep roots we grow in the places we call home. Mildred's story is a touching reminder of the power of home, love, and legacy. It challenges us to think about the choices we make as we age and the importance of preserving what truly matters in our lives. Now, it's your turn to reflect. What have you learned from this story? Is there something in Mildred's journey that resonates with your own life or someone you know? Maybe it's the importance of staying connected with family, honoring the memories tied to a special place, or finding the courage to make decisions that reflect your values. We'd love to hear from you. Please comment below and share one thing you've learned from Mildred's story and how you plan to bring that wisdom into your own life. Let's inspire each other with our thoughts and experiences. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to show your support. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring stories and life lessons. Your engagement helps us create more meaningful content for you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Glowing Star.